Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now, let the stories begin. Welcome, everybody, to the Celebration of You. And as always, I'm ecstatic to introduce you to another incredible guest today. And before I do, I always like to pause and just say thank you. Thank you to the hundreds of thousands of listeners out there. I'm just now receiving some of the latest statistics, and I continue to be blown away at the people from 87 different countries, women, men, children, everyone that's listening to this show. And I just want to say thank you. Continue to send us your messages. Let us know the stories that truly impact your life. And a lot of you, the guest today, I'm very excited to introduce you to, because many of you know I'm very passionate about a few things in my life. And those things I kind of get on a soapbox about. And one of those is Girl Up. And many of you have heard on several occasions a variety of guests that I've had on the show, whether they are an actual girl from Girl Up, or they're somebody that's a leader or a partner or a supporter of Girl Up. And you know, this is very special to my heart. So today, for the first time, I am excited to introduce you and get to share with you Melissa Kilby, who is the actual co-executive director of Girl Up. And we have some incredible, exciting announcements to share with you. So thank you, Melissa, for being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Holly. I'm excited.
Well, I'm excited to have you. And you know, you're very special to me. I mean, you know, it's kind of like a dear to my heart, all the stuff you guys are doing. So on that note, tell us, my friend. Well, not only are you running Girl Up and running 100 miles an hour, you had a brand new baby girl, well, who's now not brand new, but 18 months old. So you're juggling that. But tell us all about what's going on with Girl Up right now. Fill us in on the exciting new things happening.
Yeah, well, you definitely hit the nail on the head of going, 100 miles an hour and trying to keep up with everything. But it's been an incredibly exciting 2018 already. I literally cannot believe it's almost the end of May and we're rolling into the summer. I feel like I just blinked and it was February. But this has been an incredibly exciting year that we've been building towards, really since I've been with Girl Up. I joined back in 2011 when it was really just still kind of a concept that we were working through and testing out. And we've gone through so many different evolutions of our impact and our mission, obviously always with girls and girls empowerment at the center, but, the different shapes that that's taken. And it's incredible to think back over that time and look at the activities that we're spending our time on now. In 2018, we have a couple of really exciting things coming up this summer that we'll be announcing to everybody as we look to put just foundational support beneath our global Girl Up Club. So, more to come on that. But we've organically inspired clubs in over 100 countries. So Girl Up started as this American idea. And, just by sort of opening it up and not limiting it, we've seen this universal excitement, very much like your own, girls wanting to come into this mission and kind of join this global movement. So we've always had this global presence, but really for the first time over the next couple months, we'll be rolling out some key things to bring even more girls around the world to Girl Up.
How exciting, really my friend.
Yes. I mean, I think the idea of this small American campaign to raise awareness that's really totally evolved into global girls leadership with a social good impact. It's been an incredible evolution. So that's a big thing. We are talking to Generation Z, Gen Z girls every day. Okay. It's Gen Z girls that are leading Girl Up. And, the first few years of Girl Up is the tail end of millennials. So when we look across the 40,000 girls that we've trained and inspired through the Girl Up clubs and through our leadership program, the majority of those girls are sitting in this new generation that everybody's really paying a lot of attention to. So Girl Up, actually this spring, we fielded a research study, and we'll be coming out with that report next week on just like how is Gen Z looking at the world differently than previous generations? What is unique? I think we all probably have some personal assumptions that we could make about this generation, but we're going to be putting out some research and a report from Girl Up in early June to just kind of put some more facts and data and you know, some meat behind that to really just try to help the world and the space and companies and other organizations like figure out how to engage this generation in a way that's very specific to what they're looking for. So that's also coming up this summer, which is incredibly
huge.
exciting.
Yes, huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And you probably saw, you know, earlier this spring, we launched our Dad Squad. And we've done some videos and some bigger marketing efforts than I think we've done in the past with Girl Up. You're just trying to get the word out about how we're approaching our fight for gender equality in a way that's unique to Girl Up. And we hear from our girl leaders all the time that they want men and boys in the conversation. They want boys engaged in their clubs. They want to know that the men in their lives support their equality and their opportunity. And so we launched our Dad Squad this spring and really decided like, okay, if we're going to invite men and boys into this work, let's start with the men that are closest to our girl leaders, because we know they're all empowering their daughters to do this work, and can they inspire other dads that they know. And so we're figuring out exactly what that looks like and how we're going to continue to engage dads kind of on an ongoing basis. So that was another fun thing that happened this spring, and we're trying to kind of keep that drumbeat going, especially up through Father's Day, and then, you know, really just making that an evergreen part of Girl Up and offering some resources to dads and resources to girls to make sure that their dads really understand all of the complexities of the issues that they're talking about in their clubs. So that's been another super fun thing this year that we've talked about for years. I mean, years and years and years. And so just kind of trying to put a little bit of a real program beneath that and kind of seeing where that takes us into the future.
I love that. And you know why? Because you remember 2 years ago, I sat there with you guys going, when are we going to start Boy Up? When are we going to start Boy Up? And I'm just so excited that you guys, just since being involved with you, Melissa, for the last 2.5 years, I have watched Girl Up. And I know we were just talking about this before we started the interview, but it's just exploding and it's unbelievable. It's got legs of its own. The work you guys have done to empower young women. And there's a few stories I really want people to hear, because it's the reason that I have continued to be so passionate about this and such a supporter of what you're doing. And one is, love that you're bringing the dads in. And I have to say, and I want everybody listening to this, having the opportunity to be a partner and with Girl Up, I've been able to go to their annual events. And Melissa, I have to tell you, I was blown away last year how many dads were sitting there with their daughters. So you really opened up the exact, opportunity for what they're needing, because the men that aren't sitting there, they're the ones that need to know more about this. So I was so excited about that. There is a story, my friend, that really hit my heart last summer at the event. And I would love, because to me, I think this is a picture of what you guys are doing around the world. And it really hit my heart. Will you tell us about the girl? You got to bring her over, and she actually got to be on stage and talk. And she is the big story about the bicycles and how Girl Up has been able to empower girls with bicycles. See, this story changed my life.
Yeah, so you are talking about School Cycle, which is one of our kind of ongoing initiatives that the girls are really, I think, passionate about. One of the key things about Girl Up is that girls join Girl Up because they want to make an impact on the world. They want to change the lives of another girl, whether that's now more and more in their own backyard or, across the globe in another country, just where they have a very different reality. And back in 2014, we launched our first iteration of our school cycle fundraising initiative, and we were asking our community of supporters to, donate to send a bike to a girl in Malawi so that she could, travel the very long distances, 10 to 20 miles to the closest secondary school. And, you can't walk 10 to 20 miles to go to school every day. Like that's not actually physically feasible. And so we found out that was one of the main barriers to getting girls to go on from primary to secondary school was the distance that they would have to travel. There were a lot more primary schools close by, but when it got to secondary school, the demand was low. And so there just weren't as many schools, so they were further away. And so we introduced this first campaign. We raised enough money to provide 500 bicycles for high school, secondary school girls in Malawi via our partnership with the UN. And we just, it was our most successful fundraising initiative to date. We raised enough money for 500 bicycles in the month of December, which we had never done that before. So, we knew there was something there. We knew there was something to that concept. So the next year in 2015, we did School Cycle again, but we decided, Guatemala, our partners in Guatemala kind of raised their hand and said, we'd like to try this. The girls in Guatemala are also, they have a long and treacherous, sometimes, they're at risk of harassment on the roads. Maybe the distances aren't quite as far, but they're unsafe for other reasons. And they thought, that this intervention would really give girls an opportunity to go back to school. And so again, the month of December, we raised enough money for 300 girls in Guatemala. Just the costs were a little different, but it was actually even more successful than the year before. And so last year we decided, okay, this can't just be a December campaign. Our girls want to host events. They want to support this intervention all the time. We need to have an ongoing funding and grant, stream to our partners, and people really resonate with a bicycle. Holly, you probably remember when you got your first bike. I know I remember, and
yep.
Even here in the US where we have school buses and parents with cars and public transportation and all these great ways to get to school, bicycles also meant freedom. They meant like empowerment. You had two wheels. You could get where you wanted to go. You weren't relying on somebody else. And so I think that just that idea resonated just so universally across our campaign and our movement, across the fundraising campaign. And so what was really exciting was last year at the Leadership Summit when you were there, is we brought Jennifer, who was one of the recipients of that first grant, who was there, who I met, who got to ride off with a bicycle that day. And we had her come and talk about what that meant, and then be a part of kind of announcing to the girls that we were going to have the ability for girls to fundraise for School Cycle, on an ongoing basis, just like our other programs and partnerships with our UN partners. So, the fact that she came to the United States and traveled here because of a bicycle, like if you want to take it even further than what that meant for her in her daily life and the opportunities that provided her, to graduate from secondary school and to have that experience. Not only that, like she got on an airplane and came to the US. So, what an incredible story.
Oh my goodness. And just hearing you replay it, I'm just sitting here, Melissa, just smiling, because it's one person, right? You've touched thousands, 40,000 girls. You've got over 100 clubs now globally, and the impact that a bicycle can make. And yes, the word you used, freedom. And I want everybody listening to just pause for a moment and realize that there's so many things we take for granted. But when you get to experience what a gift of a bicycle. And just so you know, these girls and boys, these children are not going to schools walking, as Melissa just said, 10 to 20 miles. These are not these beautiful freestanding schools like we might be used to, sitting in our beautiful bubbles that we live in. These are slabs of cement on the ground that they are going to school in. So for them to even be that excited to go get an education, and to have the freedom to do it. I mean, Melissa, to me, this is such a feather in the hat this is why I love this story, because to me, this is the global impact you're making. And it is one girl at a time. And I have to say, I think where you guys got me a couple years ago is when you and Anna first told me it's for girls and by girls. So the girls are the ones that sit on the advisory board. And I love that too. I mean, tell us about the number of submissions you now get annually and how many girls you select to sit on that board.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Teen Advisory Board has been a cornerstone of Girl Up since before we even launched the initiative back in 2010. We had a board that helped us, narrow in on the marketing and the logo and the name and all of those things. And, that's how by empowering this board, and really utilizing them, to help guide us in the right direction, to stay authentic to this teenage audience, to bring them with us when we go to Malawi to give bikes, because frankly, they're the ones who did the work to raise the dollars to help, these girls. It's the Teen Advisory Board that leads the way. So each year we select 20 to 24 girls. Actually, this Friday, we'll be announcing our 9th class of teen advisors.
Yay!
So stay tuned to see the next sort of rock star powerhouse girls. We had over 500 very qualified, very passionate girls apply to be teen advisors this year from all around the world. And, we're excited to introduce our largest board class and our most globally diverse class this Friday. So you have to stay tuned to see who shows up on that. But I mean, we engage them on everything, on our partnership strategies, on our messaging, on making sure that we're talking about the issues that girls care about today, making sure that we're plugged into what's happening on a local level, in addition to the global piece that we're obviously paying a lot of attention to, with our position here at the UN Foundation and our global partners. But the girls, they are the reason that we have been as successful as we've been. Without having that teen advisory board, it would be a bunch of adult women who care deeply trying to guess at what this next generation wants to hear about, what actions that they want to take, what impact they want to make. And so by making sure that we continue to keep an authentic voice driving that, that's truly been the number one factor of our success in growing this movement. Is actually having these girls at the helm and really giving them the opportunity to represent Girl Up, being on stage at our summit, speaking at the UN. We had girls over at the Obama White House all the time. Yeah. And there was just, lots of really great opportunities that they're able to take. But also they're leading the other girls. They're role models for the other club leaders and club members around the world. And it's a position that girls are really aspiring to. So it's incredible to see that evolution. And then to watch the girls really step into that leadership role and understand, the weight of where they're guiding Girl Up to go in the future.
And it's powerful to meet some of these young ladies, because over the years when I have met them, I'm like, wow, look at they're so poised. They're so comfortable in their skin. The confidence, right, of saying, I'm so proud to know that I'm a teen advisor for something I'm so passionate about. And they're seeing the world. They're learning and doing things to give back. And they're such a big part of this huge initiative. But I just think it's so cool that you guys created it like that. Like that will always be another special thing as to why this is so dear to my heart. Melissa, what I would love to know, because I don't even know what you're about to say or share, but you're so passionate about this. And because this is for young women, take us back to your young childhood. I don't know how young you want to go here, but what was a pivotal moment for you as a young woman that maybe had a big impact on who you are today and why you're doing what you're doing today? What would that be?
That is a really good question. I grew up in a small town in central Illinois, right on the Mississippi River on the border with Missouri. And, I I had a great childhood. I had a great education. I had all the things that you would want. And, just like a lot of girls, and I think a lot of girls still today in various forms, I had a hard time in middle school. I was very outspoken. I was the girl who had my hand up because I knew the answer, and I didn't care if people cared whether I knew the answer. I wanted to share my thoughts and my opinions. And I think that was very challenging for a lot of the boys in my class that weren't really used to a girl kind of speaking up and being outspoken. And, I went through some significant bullying in middle school. And I remember, I never stopped raising my hand, and I never stopped trying to show that, like, I knew the answer. I knew just as much as anybody else in the classroom. And, there were some negative experiences because of that, but it's very much always been who I am. And I remember when I learned about Girl Up, again, this was less than a year in when I first discovered Girl Up. It was just an idea. And I thought to myself, I wish I had had something like this, because I would have been able to sort of channel some of that in a different way. And I could have found like-minded girls that were like me, that cared, and they were passionate, and they had a place to channel that, and they had each other, and they had each other's backs, even if they were across the country or around the world. And when I think about the Girl Up that we've evolved this initiative to today, and I think about myself in those years, this would have been perfect for me. And when I was going through that time, in middle school, reading and books were a very big outlet for me. And my education was always kind of there, and it was a huge support system to me. And I think the other thing that really stood out to me when I first learned about Girl Up and decided that I really, wanted to do this work was the feeling of, like, what if I hadn't had that education? Like, that was so critical for me as a support, as a coping mechanism, as an outlet. And the value of being able to read books, to read about different places, to escape, was so crucial that it was really heartbreaking as I learned more about, girls who didn't have that opportunity. And so it was really important to me to help build a platform for girls to stand out, to speak up, to channel their interests, but also something that really promoted girls' education. That was another thing that really stuck with me. And, I think I look at that community and I see myself and wish so much that, that me at 12, 13, 14 had a community like this. And luckily I have it now.
Yep. And
I've certainly been able to help put, the infrastructure and resources in place for it to grow, to this point, so that more and more girls can have this outlet if it aligns with their passions and their interests and their personality and their strengths and their weaknesses and all of those things that make us who we are today. But I love the fact that I was always called bossy, and now I get to be this awesome girl boss, of this incredible girls leadership organization. And it's like, I own my bossiness. I own my, assertiveness and my confidence. And I think it was there when I was younger. It gets dampened a little bit along the way, and having just this incredible initiative to work on every day, it's sort of back and in full bloom.
You know what I love? I think you have a new mantra for Girl Up: own your bossy.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's kind of
it's
a cool...
definitely my mantra. I'm sure there are times when my team would be like, Melissa, maybe a little less bossy. I try to be a better boss than just being bossy, but for all the little girls out there who are still called bossy, it's like, just own it. Just own it, because it will serve you. It will serve you when you find that thing that you want to put all of that energy towards.
Well, and I can just I'm picturing your team giving you a shirt with this on it. It's all happening. I can just see it. And it's funny, as I was listening to you, do you know, and now I'm much older than you, so just go with me here. I was going back to back when I was there wasn't middle school, it was junior high, right? So, that 7th, 8th, 9th grade. And Melissa, I was the girl that was so shy, overweight, no confidence. And I was thinking about what a gift this would have been to have something like this. Because when I'm asked, what are the things growing up that maybe impacted you or changed my life, I can immediately say it was a few church camps in the summer. And then in high school, I got involved in a club called DECA. I don't know if you're familiar with it, Distributive Education Clubs of America. It's like teaching kids how to lead and how to sell. But away from all that, there was nothing like this for young women. And that's why I think, this is such a gift that you guys are giving. I firmly believe, because you're doing it the right way and have all the right people coming on board to be a part of this. It's serving and supporting our world in such a magnificent way. And it all makes sense. And you took me back in time. I'm listening to you, and I was going back to those hallways in my junior high going, I would have given anything to have this. Because girls and boys, I've never wanted to be just so gender, but especially when we're at that age, we're so temperamental. And now more than ever, right? The social media and all the things that influence how we feel about ourselves. And that's what I love what you're doing with Girl Up. Girl Up, to be in that room in that annual event and the energy, and to see these young girls running around with smiles, Melissa. I mean, it gets you really emotional. It's like, look at them. They're so empowered. They're so excited. And they're going to the Capitol Hill. They're lobbying, right? These young women are making a difference in our world. So we could go on, and I could keep saying thank you for that. What I would love to do before we wrap this up is, anybody that's listening, what would be the best way, because you've got amazing things happening. Disney's a big supporter for you. You've got people. I always say you can give your time, your talent, or your treasure. And any way that you can give and support is always a blessing. So tell us, Melissa, how would you love for people to, 1, reach out to know how they can support you? And 2, tell us if somebody listening has a young girl that they would love to learn more about how their daughter could help open a club or get involved. Can you take us down both of those paths?
Absolutely. Well, both of those journeys start at our website, which is just girlup.org. That is a great place to learn about partnership, to learn about individual support. We've always got some compelling fundraising campaign going. We are in the middle of wrapping up a global 5K where we're supporting girls in Liberia and, second chance education for victims of gender-based violence. So, there's always a place, to really make an impactful donation if you go to our website. But I think your second question is really more, I think, to the point of, if there is a teenage girl in your life, 7th, 8th grade, high school, starting college, and she cares about the world and wants to make the world a better place. What we know about this generation is that they do. They care and they want to make it better. Introduce them to Girl Up. Go to our website. We have incredible resources, videos, articles, stories, things that you can share to kind of pique their interest, spark that inspiration, and then, serve as a resource. Help her to find out, is there a club at her school already? If there is, joining it should be the easiest thing you can do. And if there isn't one at her school, help her get it started. We really want girls to take the lead. This is their movement. The actions are up to them. It's their leadership, but helping to inspire them, helping to brainstorm with them. To start a Girl Up Club, all a girl has to do is get 4 friends. So she's got to do some convincing and some negotiations and get some followers from day one. But sign up on our website. It's free. As soon as you do, you have access to all of the great toolkits, resources, and this broader community of almost 700,000 supporters around the world, and this network of clubs around the world to be a part of. And what I love so much about Girl Up and thinking about this virtual community that you connect into is you literally have hundreds of thousands of people standing behind you as you go to start your club, as you tell your friends about what you want to do, as you sit down and do your first meeting and decide what event you want to do, what issue you want to tackle, what impact you want to make, and what kind of outcome you want that to have in your school. But you're not in it alone. There are tens of thousands of girls around the world who are doing the same actions alongside you every day.
Oh, and just think about how powerful that is. Like, it's not just having to be in the live presence, but the virtual community is growing and so exploding that you get to connect with girls from all over the world. Thank you. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the gift of what you're doing and giving of your time and energy, Melissa, because I know you and Anna are going 100 miles an hour and it's exciting, but I also know you're mothers and spouses and you have a real life too. And so just thank you for the commitment to make this world better and what you're doing. And it's a joy supporting you. It's a joy being out here to be your champion and advocate. And thank you for being with me today.
Well, thank you, Holly, and thanks for all of your support and being our partner in this work.
Well, love it. And I can't wait to see you guys soon. Okay? Bye. Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.